Hi, welcome to Breaking Free Fridays, or welcome back if you've been following this series. I'm Kara, and it's great to have you here. I felt inspired to talk about the key to rewiring your brain for joy. Imagine actually not just feeling better, but really having more of a sense of just joy and bliss in your life, regardless of what's going on and what's happening around you. And, this is a perfect time to really talk about this because, as we're preparing in the U.S., this next week, we have Thanksgiving and, there's festivities towards the end of the year and different holidays being celebrated all over. And oftentimes these opportunities for celebration and, bringing together families and friends and loved ones, they aren't only joyful, but they can bring a lot of stress and overwhelm. And one of the things that can really center us and root us in something different amidst something that has that juxtaposition of not only the stress and the overwhelm, but something that we might also look forward to. And so, there can be kind of a mixed bag. The more that we rewire our brain for joy, the more that the aspects of overwhelm or stress, they just land differently. It doesn't have the same kind of impact in a negative way that it once did. And we're talking about gratitude here. And imagine when you think about gratitude, it's not just a simple feeling. It's not just a skill. It's a practice. It's kind of a mix of all of those things. And it's absolutely integral in the process of rewiring our brain for joy. In these circles in our community where people are vested in doing work for empowerment and transformation and just inner work. Gratitude is definitely something that is talked about a lot. And I just want to go a little bit deeper because it's one of those things that can also be kind of a superficial tool or a superficial, almost like spiritual bypass approach. And I just want to bring up some of the aspects that can really help you at an anchoring level where you absolutely realize that deeper transformation over time with real rewiring. And so as we get into that, there are a few things that I just wanted to share related to, why we run into a need to even consider rewiring the brain, where that comes from and how gratitude and learning some of these pieces at a deeper level can make such a difference. So one of the big things to remember, brains are actually built with a negativity bias. This is going back to kind of the primal brain function that is absolutely wired to help us survive, to keep us safe. And it's one of those things that, when we were living in times where we were, hunters and gatherers, and we were evading saber-toothed tigers, this function is incredible, absolutely incredible to have. But in modern day times, typically speaking, it really is counter to being helpful when we're trying to just live in a state of peace and calm and presence and more realizing more of that ease and flow. And so realizing, this is a piece of us that, it has an important function. And it also, connects very much into fear-driven ways of actually being in the world, we can help our brains really rewire to a different tune, if you will, or a different, a different current. I mean, there's always going to be that aspect of us, but we can move through it quicker. We can have more management of it. And that is really powerful. I mean, think about, just as an analogy, with this negativity bias, it's like having Velcro to, bad situations or bad circumstances, harsh things, and, Teflon against like the good experiences. So the more that we deepen our feelings of, our skill around, and our practice related to gratitude, the more that we are actually able to really take in at a deep level how life is happening for us and not against us. And, that's one of those things that that's really powerful in being able to stay in that centered place and really be in a place of ease and flow. So another part has to do with really repatterning this bias, right? So, one of the things that that you think about with this and gratitude in general, the more that we focus on good things, on higher frequency energies, on higher frequency feelings, not only in what we're surrounding ourselves with and kind of what's coming in, by way of what we're listening to, what we're experiencing in life, our interactions, but also in how we view things, what we focus on in that way. The more that we are able to strengthen that muscle, think about it like working out in the gym. The more reps you put in, the stronger you get, the more toned you get. It pays off over time and with consistent practice. And it's all about really strengthening that happiness muscle. And a big piece of the happiness muscle is connected to a sense of true gratitude. And so that's one of the things that's important to remember. And this is not about avoiding or ignoring or even denying pain or lower frequency feelings or things that might be challenging that you're experiencing. There are valid feelings that run the spectrum of every energetic frequency, from shame at the very lowest, all the way to, connection, love, peace, all of that at some of the highest ends of the spectrum. And we don't want to discount those or skip over them, because at that point, that's where gratitude can have like a superficial edge. If we're trying to like convince ourselves of something, but deeper inside, we're not really feeling that resonance. And so you want to allow yourself an opportunity to move through those other feelings that are coming up. We don't want to get stuck in them though either. And so it's one of those things that, as you move through and the more you practice these, basically strengthening that happiness muscle, rewiring the brain, the more natural this becomes, the less those other feelings even come into play, because you're operating in a different way. Your nervous system is functioning in a more optimal way. Your mindset is functioning in a more optimal way. Your emotional management and emotional regulation is happening in a more optimal way. So just to keep those things in mind as well, and then as you think about some of the tools. I want to share actually just a brief toolkit with you that can be really powerful. And you can use all of these tools, pick and choose, try them out, see what works for you, what resonates for you. But basically, the idea is a gratitude toolkit. And, the first tool is about getting to the nitty gritty. It's easy to name off very high level things that we might be grateful for. For example, home, nourishing food, wonderful support system, abundance and blessings in general. And those are important. Definitely, give credence to those higher level things. They really help develop, some of that muscle that we were talking about before. But you can more deeply anchor a sense of gratitude when you get more specific, hyper specific. So for example, instead of saying, oh, I'm so grateful for my family, or saying that and feeling that, because that is a wonderful thing, and going more specific. So for example, I am so grateful for how my son just made me laugh so much this morning and broke through stress that I was feeling or overwhelm that I was feeling at the beginning of the day. And it just shifted my whole perspective and just, gave way to a really beautiful day unfolding. And when you go that kind of specific route with gratitude, it just lands deeper. Test it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear. And there's so many different ways that you can take that deeper. So, use both. Use the general points of gratitude, but then really get specific too. And this is amazing in relationship development and really strengthening those connections with the people that you care about. When you share the things that you're grateful for and you give those specific examples, wow, do they feel seen and heard and witnessed and appreciated in a way that is so much more powerful than just mentioning it in general terms. The general is really valuable too, but that specific, it's just gold. And then second tool in that gratitude toolkit, the light side of the obstacle. So, we live in a world that has so much duality, and, it's like, two sides to every coin, right? So the reason I say light side to the obstacle is at the highest level of things in life, and in when you think about and whether you believe in God or a higher power, creator, universal energy, however that resonates for you. I'm just going to reference for God for me, because that resonates for me and my beliefs. But as God is basically creating this masterful plan for the unfolding of everything. And in that, we experience some pretty challenging things at times, sometimes really horrific things. And yet, with enough time and enough healing, even the most horrific and challenging things, we can see gifts, we can see opportunities of growth or lessons, or things that have actually allowed us to become stronger, or more resilient, more compassionate, more loving. There can be all sorts of different gifts. And just for a moment, allow yourself a chance to reflect on something that you've experienced in your past that was difficult. Maybe it was a difficult experience or circumstance, or a challenging conversation, or a really, frustrating interaction, and ask yourself, what did that teach me? How did that actually help me become a better person or become stronger? what was the gift or the silver lining in that? And see what comes up for you. These can be incredibly profound things to journal on, or even just, in meditation, just really, reflecting on some of these and how it aids in different levels of perspective, awareness, and awakening. So I encourage you to explore that. And then the third part of the Gratitude Toolkit is embodied gratitude. So this is another place where we really go deep in feeling the gratitude. And this becomes super powerful. First, you want to really get centered. So go ahead and put a hand over your heart, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and just really feel yourself getting centered. Allow yourself to release anything that it is time, that it serves your highest good to let go of. You can even feel like this incredible, beautiful shower of divine light just coming over you and releasing and clearing you of anything that it's time to release. And as you take a couple more deep breaths, and go ahead and keep your eyes closed, take a moment to think about an experience that you had that you were really grateful for. It could be an experience, it could be a person, something in your life that you have tremendous gratitude for. And go ahead and really fill your mind with that moment. And as you fill your mind with that, also notice where you feel that experience in your body. Could be like a lightness in your heart, a warmth in your chest, tingling in your head, just a sense of joy, a smile. And take a moment to tune in as deeply as you can, as viscerally as you can. So feeling in the body and also re-experiencing that moment in every way possible. What you heard, what you saw, if you smelled anything, if there was any aspect of touch, reconnect to all of the senses that brought that moment to life, and feel that point of gratitude just anchoring in really deeply. And as you go through this exercise, you'll likely notice a smile, a sense of incredible joy coming and unfolding. And you may even have tears of gratitude, and just allow them to be. Just experience the beauty of that moment, the magic and the miracle of that gratitude. And you can keep stacking more of those moments on, more points of gratitude. And if you happen to be in a place where you're struggling to connect to a moment of gratitude, connect to something that is a more simple one. For example, something that brings you incredible joy that you feel grateful for, like a beautiful part of nature, or an incredible smell that just calms you, like the beautiful scent of a rose, or the gratitude of the most incredible, sunrise or sunset, the smile of a stranger. So just take that in. And then when you feel ready, go ahead and open your eyes. And I invite you to play with these tools. Incorporate this whole gratitude toolkit, in the way that makes the most sense for you, that works for you. The key is to sustain that practice and really build on it. And you may have things that you're already doing that are connected to gratitude, and you can interweave some of these others into that and just create your own that really builds on your practice and feels like just an incredible piece of your lifestyle that you build on and you persist with. That's the key, the continuity and the persistence. That's where you will get the most sustained progress and that muscle building that we were talking about earlier. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what you're experiencing, which of the tools you love the best. Share in the comments, and if you're enjoying these videos, please send them to loved ones and family. And I hope you have a wonderful next week. I'm wishing you an incredible holiday season, and for those of you that are also celebrating Thanksgiving, wonderful Thanksgiving to you. I'm super grateful for all of you, grateful for this community. Thank you so much for being on this journey of empowerment and breaking free with me. I celebrate you and honor you so much. It's so important. Every one of us that is doing light work and inner work, we have ripple effects, and I'm just super grateful. So thank you. And here's to your next level of empowerment and breaking free. Okay, bye for now.